Hi, in this short tutorial we'll learn how to build a simple dashboard using Microsoft Access as the database source. So the first thing that we need to do is establish the database connection to Microsoft Access. So we click on the data tab and over here you can see all the pre-built connections, but for this tutorial's sake we'll create a fresh new connection. So we'll click on the create new database connection and we select the access database type, and in this connection handle we can give any name to this connection that we can readily identify. So I'll just call this transaction DB, and here you have to provide the access. What you can see here is that you need to provide the complete path to the MDB or accdb file. So if you look at our directory, we have this sample database in a transactions.accdb, and it's in this C:\samples directory. So we'll construct this path, paste this, and we need to attach the remaining portion of the path. And rest of the settings remain the same, Windows 7 access. And what we can do is we can click on this test connection, and it says the connection was success, and there is one table called transactions. So now that we have tested the connection, we'll add it to the connection entry by clicking on add new connection, and it says transaction DB is added to the successfully to the as a handle. Now once this is done, we go back to our data tab and we simply click on refresh connection list, and we see that the transaction DB is right here. So this is our editor and this is our data tab. So let's click on the connection, and it says there is one table. We click on that and it shows us a sample data that is actually residing in this particular table. So we're fine with this and we say analyze data from the selected table. Now once we do that, it actually reads the complete table, and all the columns are then separated between dimensions and measures. So all the measures are numerical fields that you would like to do calculations upon, and there could be a false measure, so you can simply move it back to the dimension. And what we have, we'll build a quick dashboard, very simplistic dashboard for this demonstration. So in order to proceed, we see that we have an order date. So you right click on it and create a date hierarchy. So every date within InfoCaptor you can represent into any component of the hierarchy. So the hierarchy components are year, quarter, month, day of the week, and so on. So what it means is like I can readily do a year way. I put a year column and I can see instantly what is the number of records for each year. So there are multiple use for this kind of analysis. You can do year to year trending, and here is simple rundown of the interface. So anything that you put on the columns bucket goes on the x-axis, and anything that you put in the values goes on the y-axis. So right now we have the visualize as a normal pivot, but I can simply click on a bar graph and I say that it is showing me as a bar chart. And so right now we don't have anything in the values bucket. What we'll do is we'll drag the sales column in the values, and what you see is that now the bar represents the sales for that particular year. And you can resize this chart. And now what we have is what do you add to the rows becomes a category separator. So let's say if we add a customer class to this, we instantly see the separation of each year by the category. Now the same thing you can say, okay, I want to Want this as tag bar? No problem. You click on this and you instantly see that each of the customer class for that particular year is segmented into the stack. And so this is how you do it. And then if you decided to swap it, you can simply click on this and you see this. The year is the separator and the x-axis is now the customer class. And if I switch this to a group chart, now you can see that within each category, each segment, each bar represents the year that it shows here. Visualizer tab. Now, in order to produce it as a final dashboard, we have to keep adding it to the dashboard. And the way you do it is you simply click on this button which says add analysis to the dashboard. And before doing that, let's switch the dimensions back so that we have the year and the customer class. So I select this and the chart is added to the dashboard. And once it's on the dashboard, you can still go ahead and resize it to suit the size of your dashboard that you have picked. Now we'll create a simple dashboard with 4 to 5 charts. And let's do that. Since we have so many dimensions, let's create a similar view for product line. And now we have a product line by year. We add it to the dashboard the same way. And by default, everything that you add to the dashboard, it just keeps appending to the dashboard page, but you can keep moving it around. Let's say I want it here. Similarly, let's create 2 more. So we have is the region. We add it. We add the warehouse. So now we have 4 charts on this dashboard. And one thing that would be nice to have is some kind of a interactivity, like adding parameters to the dashboard, and that also can be done very easily. So let's say we have is the census division, so and we have category, we have ship priority, so we can add these other dimensions as parameters. So let's say I want to have a filter on the affiliate. I right click on it and say create parameter, and it gives you the option whether you want a checkbox, radio box, single select, multi select. So we keep it as the checkbox. We say add as parameter to the dashboard, and now all these values are added. Now anytime you make a selection, all the charts, they refresh and automatically, and they are already hooked up. You don't have to do any coding, no SQL needed for this. Same way, I go back and add one more for the ship priority and click add. So now all the parameters are added to the left hand side, but there is no restriction to it. You can, if you want it, you can move them around and place it anywhere you need it. So this is our simple access based dashboard where you hooked up to access database. You added 4 different analysis for each of the dimensions, and then you added 2 parameters to the dashboard with interactivity. Now I save it and I can click on view page, and I can see that everything is interactive, and I can hover and do the selections that I want. And the other thing is that if you wanted to make it public so that you wanted to share this dashboard, you can just click on this make it public, and now your dashboard URL is completely shareable. You can send it to people within the company or outside the internet. So that's a short introduction of how you build a dashboard with Microsoft Access database. Thank you.